Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jim Rochelle's. Today's episode 248, and we're going to be interviewing Tyler. How you doing today, Tyler?
Doing great. Down here in Louisiana. Coming up on I guess you call it a mini milestone, 15 and a half years clean and sober.
That's a long time, my friend. Let's go way back. Let's start with the very beginning. Tell me about your childhood and growing up.
Yeah, I come from a broken home in the Philadelphia area. We kind of bounced between Philly and South Jersey when I was a youngin'. Then we moved back to
Why were you bouncing around? Why were you bouncing around? Do you remember?
A lot of it I don't remember. But the only two things I really remember from my childhood is the night my grandmother died up at West Point, PA, coming out the church building. And the first time, I guess you could say I was drunk. I don't really know. I was 7 years old and drank a 6-pack of beer.
At 7 years old, you drank an entire 6-pack?
Yeah.
Who gave it to you?
Nobody. I took it from my dad.
And how did it make you feel?
At that point, I was trying to figure out what's really to this because I didn't really feel nothing. It wasn't until I got about 12 or 13, myself, my brother, and a really good family friend, we took all the booze and went over. There was this old abandoned house down in South Jersey, right? Like 4 houses down from where I lived, 2 houses kind of north of where he lived, and we sat there and got shit-faced. That was the first time that I really felt it. And I remember when I got home, I passed out in the front yard.
Well, quick question. Might be a stupid question. Did you enjoy it the first time you did it? Or the second time when you actually got, drunk?
Probably the second time more than the first. The first, I thought I was drinking water out of cans. I really did, because I never felt nothing. I mean, I was able to function and do my studies at night and all that stuff. But the second time, there was no functioning. And then knocked all that off for I want to say 3 years, 3 or 4 years. And then I tried pot. And I didn't care for it. It was like the first time I drank beer. It didn't do nothing to me.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. But they say that different things do different things to different people.
Yeah, of course. I've heard a lot before marijuana that a lot of people, the first time they don't feel it, but the second time they do.
I did it for, I don't know, probably a month and a half. Every day, every other day, nothing.
Why'd you continue to use it if it wasn't doing anything for you?
I don't know. But then I keep hearing about this. I remember when I was in treatment, they talked about it a lot. It's called an addictive personality.
I'm listening. So, what, you think you were just doing it because Well, that's what I'm saying. An addictive personality means you're addicted to something.
I think I was just doing it to do it, to be honest with you. The only thing it really did was take the place of my cigarettes.
Okay.
That was all it really did. And at that time, you didn't have to be 21 to get cigarettes. Because I remember walking, there was a kind of like a Circle K or a Wawa or something like that. And I remember at 8, 9, and 10 years old being able to walk down the store and get a package of cigarettes from mom or dad or my grandfather. I remember being able to do that. Today, you can't do it.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And I remember living in Reading, PA, and at the age of 17, I was getting served wild Irish Rose in a bar. And by that point, the drinking age had changed. I want to say it was everywhere except Wyoming. And it was either North Dakota or South Dakota. The age stayed 19 for another couple of years. Yeah, I didn't have no ID card. The only thing I had was like this, the card they give you for the high school and stuff. That was all I had was a school card.
Yeah.
Never got asked for it. But back then, the laws were a lot more lax compared to what they are today.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Now I'm 40, and I know when I was growing up, like you said, you can go run to the store and get your parents a pack of cigarettes, and no one would say anything.
Yeah. But now I don't know how it is up there in Jersey, but I know out in Nevada, I can't even go to the store to buy a pack of cigarettes or I haven't had my driving license on me.
You're talking about nowadays?
Yeah. And the one place I get my cigarettes at home, it was either a month or a month and a half ago, there was a couple of kids outside the store wanting to get one of them vape things. And I told them, I can't do it. And I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, you don't want to get yourself in trouble.
Well, you don't know if they're cops or not.
This is true.
I know Washington State, they were using cops for a while. They'd send the kids to the front of the store, and the cop would be sitting up by the alley. It was weird.
So it sounds like you started drinking and drugs pretty early. Tell me about your progression. How did it affect you, socially and at school?
My grades slipped to the point to where I actually dropped out of school.
What age?
17. I had a year and I think it was like a year and 3 months left, and I would have graduated. But my grandfather helped me get some work up in Pennsylvania. And I worked there for a year. And then I found this other gig, unloading trucks at this basically a frozen food warehouse. So I started unloading trucks. I was making fast money doing that. And we had these neighbors that had lived below my mom. And I don't remember if they was ever married or not, but anyway, his lady had a sister who lived down in Norristown. I know you know where that is.
Morristown?
Norristown, yeah. We go down there on the weekends, and that was my first indulgence into the cocaine world. The first time, it did a little bit. But then each weekend I would go down there. And the more I went down there, the more it hit me. And the more, I don't know if it was fight or flight, but the more I started telling myself, I got to get the hell out of here. So I left. I went up to Washington State, Seattle area. Because I remember being younger and listening to all the music. There was a lot of good music come out of Seattle back in the day. So the music scene is what drug me up there, just to go listen to it. Because I can't sing and I can't play an instrument to save my life. I mean, my dog is probably better at it than I am. So I moved up there, and I always wanted to drive these trucks. And this was also my first, I guess you would call it, encounter with racism. But it was definitely racism, but I just don't know if you call it an encounter or what you call it. And I remember this one, basically a fuel stop, basically a Wawa with diesel pumps. And these two older guys, two older white guys said, go hang out at the ports. Because at that point, guys were crawling. They were just begging for bodies to fill seats. Because there was so much turnover. And I got put in touch with this older person of color who's still, we still talk to this day. He's still one of my best friends. And he saw something in me that I didn't, I don't know what he saw, but he took a chance. But I had, because of my age, and at that time, the way the insurance companies were, you had to be a certain age to drive a certain type of truck. Where today, I can take my dog down and get him his CDL, and he can probably go to work for Landstar hauling some of the biggest stuff in the country. But at that point, I had to start out basically working Seattle, Portland, once in a while go over the hill to Spokane. But I can't tell you how many days we missed work because of drinking. We're not going to get into that one. He was my best friend, my boss, and my drinking buddy all at the same time. But his brother, the one who actually taught me to drive, found this new wonder drug. It was called toothpicks. And a lot of these guys that run cattle, back in the day, they used to get these toothpicks and they dip them in horse tranquilizer. Basically, today would be considered meth.
What did you do? You said it's a toothpick they dipped in it?
Yeah.
And what would they do with the toothpick afterwards? Chew on it?
Nope. You could only hold it under your tongue for like 3, maybe 4 seconds at the most. You could blow your heart out. You could literally blow your heart out with holding just that much of a toothpick under your tongue for more than about 4 seconds at the most. Because where it puts a horse to sleep, it keeps us moving. And then once I finished all my, he called it city, then mountain training, then I was able to start coming out here and running the road. And he started me out hauling basically apples from like Mount Hood, Oregon, and Yak over in Eastern Washington, I go down to Miami or sometimes down to LA. But his brother always made sure I had a cigarette cellophane full of these toothpicks. I think it cost me $10 for like 200 of them.
So let's start talking more about your drug use. What were your main drugs of choice?
Mainly coke, meth, and Xanax.
Coke, meth, and Xanax. Dangerous combination.
The what they call it, opiates, never really did nothing for me. I never tried heroin. I couldn't stand the smell of it when they was cooking it down. Pot, like I told you before, it never, I don't know, it just didn't do nothing to me. Can't explain it. All it did was replace my craving for a cigarette for an hour or two. That's all it really did. I can't explain why, but that's what it did. You know, I mean, but like I said earlier, different things do different things to different people. That's why they say there's no two of us that's the same.
Yep. That is absolutely correct. So at what point did you realize you were in trouble, that you were doing too much?
I didn't realize I was doing too much till the end. When the end came, and how the end came was actually kind of funny. Because I left Seattle and I moved, I think it's 28, 26 miles to the north, a little town called Everett. Well, it ain't a little town no more. And down on Broadway, which is one of the main drags, there was a gas station and a bar and a restaurant. If you're coming down the hill and you look to the right, that's where they were. But over to the left, nestled around an auto repair shop and something else, was another bar. And in the other bar is where all the guards from the jail drank at. And for some reason, I would go in that bar more times than I would go anywhere else. I have no idea why, but that's where I would go. And it was right after Labor Day 2007. That gas station that was right across, across the street from the bar. I was dating this girl. I had been up for numerous days. Can't tell you how many days because I honestly don't remember. But he said something to her and kept walking towards the gas station. I handed her my gun, my dope, and my knife. I had been up on, like I said, I've been up on Xanax, coke, and meth, and I don't remember how long it was. I couldn't tell you. I followed him into that gas station. I whooped his ass in that gas station. Left the gas station. She was about 2 miles to the south and east of the gas station. By the time I finally caught up to her, I have no idea how I left the gas station and got to where she was. I was in what she called a drug-induced psychosis. Because of not remembering. There's a whole lot of my last month that I don't remember. We left the spot where I met her at and made it 3 blocks to 41st Street. And that's where they nailed me at. I don't remember going to court. I don't remember eating. I only remember using the bathroom for 3 solid days. And there's one guard at the county jail. And he always said it. There was a bunch of us. He knows on a first and last name basis. Mainly because we all went in the bar. And he always said to us, "Are you done yet?" And of course, we used to just, do one of these numbers, brush it off like it wasn't nothing. I don't know if it was the way he actually said it that particular time. Or what. But when he said, "Are you done yet?" I pulled him to the side. I said, "I think I might actually need help for this. I'm doing something that ain't right because I keep ending up here." And the next day, he came into work. Actually, he came in the morning shift that day. And he had 2 ladies with him. They was from, how was that called? It was a detox facility up there in Everett. I don't remember the name of it. Went through the paperwork process. And they used a number scale. I blew the numbers off the charts. It was like something told me if I didn't max these numbers out, that I was going to be stuck in that life, even though I knew there was more to life than what I had been doing. And I got out of jail on 4th of October 2007. And ran into a buddy of mine. He had some beer. He had some dope. Took a hit of dope. Couldn't even get high no more. It was like, I don't know, maybe something happened while I was in jail that time that actually told me that you're done. But I had to wait until the morning of October 8, 2007 to get into the treatment. And got on the bus, head held down, embarrassed by everything that I had done,
How did it feel once you arrived there? How did it feel?
I didn't know what to make of it at first, but I went into the situation with an open mind and a willingness to learn.
That's all you need.
And I was over there. I want to say it was on the Indian reservation over in Yakima, Washington, is where I went. Left there, 28 days there. And then I went up to Spokane for 2 more months of inpatient, and then it was supposed to be a year outpatient, but they graduated me early.
So what's life like for you nowadays that you're sober?
It's not easy. You know, there's nothing easy about life. But what I know today, I don't have to drink or use today to get through a situation in life. And I've had some very dark days in my recovery. April of 2019, woman I was with for 10 years at that point went in the hospital. And had the doctor listen, she'd still be here today. March 1st of 20, God called her home.
Sorry to hear that.
Last August 18th, I was hauling a brand new, like out of the factory, brand new cat machine down to Los Angeles for some kind of a exhibit thing, and I was almost to the California state line on 40 down in Arizona. Another truck driver lost it right in front of me. Had I hit him, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. He had 9 pallets of explosives in the front of that trailer. We're going through a monsoon, which is basically a severe thunderstorm for you guys out there. He decided he had to run 70 through it. No, and I got a whole stack of traffic behind me in the right lane. We're doing maybe 40 mile an hour with the 4-ways on because that's how bad the weather was. Unfortunately, 3 people didn't make it home from that.
That's a shame.
I had to get a 9-month-old out of a burning car. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do as a professional driver. You know, and then a month to the day, my mom passed. A month to the day of the accident, my mom passed. But
Sounds like you had some challenging times.
And somehow the God of my understanding has carried me through those times.
But it sounds like you're doing much better. You got your faith. Got ways to cope with all this stuff.
Life, like I said, it's not easy, but life isn't easy for any of us. Let's just really look at it. The cost of everything's going up, but our wages are going down.
Yeah.
I've been a part of some things. I've been a part of 3 different trucker protests. I was 2 years sober. And my late girlfriend stood beside me as I went back to school. I got my GED. or 40 years old, almost 41. I went back and got my GED. And I thought I was
determination.
going, and I thought I was going to have to learn like all this new stuff the way they're teaching the kids today. But they went back to when I was in school and used the math and some of the other stuff from that time period,
Yeah.
which that really surprised me. It surprised a lot of people.
So to get back into your using, we're getting towards the end here. I wanted to ask you one last question. Do you have any advice for people watching, listening that might be struggling with their addiction issues? And you know,
Reach out. Reach out. Help is available. You can overcome. It may seem like a grueling job in the beginning, but it's not. You know, get to a meeting, do what I did, and listen to different people speak. Choose you a sponsor based upon that. I think the most important thing that I can tell anybody, relapse does not have to be a part of your story.
I'm a firm believer in that as well. Some people say, "Oh, it's just part of recovery." Like you said, it doesn't have to be.
No, I've seen people go back out and not come back.
Yep.
I lived in Illinois for about 13 years and I had a really good friend there. He was kind of new to the program, and his wife went to jail for, it was either possession and delivery or delivery of a controlled substance. And he was fighting to get his kids back. 3 days before he was supposed to get his kids back, he went out. 3 houses down from where I lived, he got a bad shot of heroin. And instead of doing the honorable thing with him, they threw him in the front yard and let the police find him. I want to say I was visiting my brother. He was still living in Pennsylvania at that point.
It's a shame. But I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast today. It really means a lot to me that you took the time to speak with us and go through your story and share your experience, strength, and hope.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to throw in?
My inbox on Facebook's always open. I don't do Instagram or any of that other stuff. Reach out to me. I'm out here. My inbox is always open. Don't hesitate to reach out to somebody, whether it's me or Jim or whoever. You just recently interviewed a lady friend from up in Canada who I've watched her grow since we started talking in one of the chat groups.
Oh, awesome! That's great.
I've just watched the growth within her, and it's been phenomenal. It's been a blessing to be able to watch.
Yeah, that is an amazing thing to watch someone progress along in their journey.
I mean, I know we're miles or days apart, but still. But she's grown. She's at yesterday. I want to say she had all of her kids and a couple of grandkids at the house. I don't remember exactly, but it was watching stuff like that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's like I have people at home in my home group. I've watched a lot of these people that come through the drug court that are actually trying to get it. They're not just there to appease the court. They're there to actually turn their life around. Also, I mean, one more thing, You have to find a God of your understanding. And for me, that was, in the beginning, that was the hardest thing, but yet the best thing to try to find was something to lean on.
All right, my friend. I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Okay, Jim, thank you.
No problem. How do you feel? Did you have a good time today?
Oh, yeah, I feel great.
Yeah, it's always good to get your story out there, right? Makes you feel good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, my friend. So hang tight for me for just a minute. And for
Okay.
everybody that's watching and listening, if you like what you saw and heard, go below and give us a like. Also subscribe to see when we upload new videos. You can check us out on all social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, TikTok. As I usually say, you name it, we're on it. I also suggest checking out our website, which is www.addicts-anonymous.com. There's plenty of free resources and free literature. And Addicts Anonymous has a book coming out hopefully next month. It's called Addicts Anonymous, Our Stories. It's a collection of essays I've written, as well as people's personal stories of their journey through addiction and recovery. So I really hope you enjoyed what you heard and saw today. And until next time.